afternoon, distinguished guests, respected faculty, visionaries, colleagues, and friends. I bid you a very warm welcome to the Leadership Symposium 2025. This is a gathering where wisdom meets witness, and legacy lights the way for learning. This medical leadership development experience is held under the auspices of the Ghana College of Physicians and Surgeons. And on behalf of the hard-working organizing team, we extend our sincere gratitude to you for responding to our invitation with such zeal and fervor. Whether seated in here in person in this imposing auditorium or joining us virtually from your digital screens, please take a moment to give yourself a round of applause for being here with us. It has graciously fallen on us to serve as your master of ceremonies for this extraordinary gathering. I am, by the goodwill of God, Dr. William Ochepre-Paul, and you can simply call me Dr. Will.
And I am, by the grace of God, Ohema Echa Ajikum. You can call me Ohema for short. All right, so just as Dr. Will put across, would like to welcome you to the 2025 GCPS Leadership Symposium, a gathering that does not only celebrate excellence, but one that throws the spotlight on leadership as a cornerstone for our healthcare transformation and our health system at large. But I want to also conscientize you that this is not just an event, but this is a living classroom where the legacies of two extraordinary, remarkable leaders will inspire the next phase of our healthcare system in Ghana. Ladies and gentlemen, can we do it with a round of applause for the curators of this August gathering for bringing this to fruition and giving us the opportunity to be inspired and also honor who honor is due.
Thank you. I will please crave your indulgence to stand while we pray. Thank you. We are praying. Our Heavenly Father, from whom all blessings flow, we thank you for the blessing of today. Thank you for the gift of life. We thank you for the entire leadership of the Ghana College of Physicians and Surgeons. We thank you for all residents. Thank you for all who have contributed meaningfully to make today's occasion a reality. It is our common prayer this afternoon that you guide us in all that we shall do this afternoon to a successful end. We pray that, and we promise, Father, that we will return all the glory to your holy name. And the blessings from the symposium will be unto us, your children. Thank you for hearing us. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Thank you very much, Dr. Adjei. At this time, we wish to acknowledge the presence of our special guest of honor, Deputy Minister of Health for the Republic of Ghana, Professor Dr. Grace Ayensu-Dankwa. She's here present with us. Please, let's see you, ma'am. Thank you so much for coming. Your presence today, underscores the critical relationship between healthcare leadership and national health policy, and we're truly honored to have you here today. Please, let's give her another round of applause. She deserves it. We'd also like to acknowledge our chairperson for the day, Professor Enyonam Yao Kwakume, Chair of the Council of the Ghana College of Physicians and Surgeons, our Rector, Professor Richard M.K. Adanu, and also distinguished panelists here present, fellows of the college, members of the media, and all invited guests. Welcome once again.
This event has been possible by the kind courtesy of some generous sponsors, and we do not want to take off leaving their baggage behind. So we want to include their luggage into the takeoff process. Bear with me as we give them an honorary mention. We have partnership and support from the UNFPA. Let's appreciate them, each of the sponsors for a round of applause. The Ghana Health Service for the partnership, ADP, we have DePaigo, we have Sonotech, please let the applause keep running. Sasan, Belacqua, Mineral Water, Health Information System, Blowchem Industry, and Alumni Association of the University of Ghana Medical School.
And of course, we couldn't have done this without our media partners. We have Star 103.5 FM, GH1 Television, Joy 99.7 FM, Joy Prime, Pan-African Television, GTV, and Max MX24.
Well, thank you so much for following the queue and making this easy for us. For a great event like this, we have to have a great man as our Busiapini. This college is a family, and the college has an Busiapini. And so, to chair the affairs of our symposium this afternoon would permit me to invite our chairman of council by reading his profile. Professor Enyonam Yao Kwakume is the founder of Family Health Hospital and University, and the first to have established a private medical school in Ghana, which is the Family Health Medical School. He is the inaugural professor and former chair of the KK Bentilentio Chair, College of Health Sciences, University of Ghana, Legon. He's an honorary fellow of the American College of Obstetrician Gynecologists, past chairman of the West Africa College of Surgeons, and past president of the Society of Obstetricians and Gynecologists of Ghana. Ladies and gentlemen, his extensive profile, even though this is the capsulized synopsis, will tire a talkative me to exhaustion if I should attempt to relate all of them. And so permit me to cap it off by saying he is currently the chairman of council for the Ghana College of Physicians and Surgeons, and the first person in West Africa sub-region to set up this hospital, nursing school, midwifery school, and the medical school, all within one institution. If you agree with me that we've made an excellent choice for a chairperson, help me make welcome Professor Enyonam Yao
Kwakume.
It is my singular honor and privilege to welcome you to the 2025 Leadership Symposium of the Keynote of Studies, Visionaries and Studies. Permit me to acknowledge deep gratitude and the leadership of the college, the local organizing committee, and our partners at Congress for the tireless efforts. And bring this. Medicine and the first, breaking barriers, the power of female leadership in medicine, and that will go to Professor Afua Hesse, the first female pediatric surgeon in Ghana. Blazing career has illuminated a path for countless young women and actually men in medicine. The second, another good friend, Professor David Ofori-Adjei, and that is prescribing change strategies for rational use in healthcare. He is an eminent clinician, pharmacologist, and has shaped the whole policy of medicine with research and patient safety. Ladies and gentlemen, the achievements of both Professor Afua and Professor Ofori-Adjei should remind us that leadership is not about titles or positions alone. It is about courage to stand for what is right, the vision to create a change, and the commitment to do things better than you found. So we celebrate them today. Let us ask ourselves some basic questions. What barriers can I help to break? What change can I bring to in my environment, whether you are young or old? Ladies and gentlemen, the Minister, the Deputy Minister of Health, the President of our college, the awardees, the press. I would like to again, on behalf of the College of Physicians and Surgeons and the local organizing committee, welcome you again warmly to this Leadership Symposium 2025. May the good Lord bless us all. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Kwakome, for charting such a meaningful course. Now, leadership, as we know, is not just about holding a title. It is about shaping systems, influencing minds, and making decisions that echo beyond our own lifetimes. Today, we honor two visionaries whose impact spans clinical excellence, institutional reform, and global influence. Professor Afua Hesse, a trailblazer who became Ghana's first female equity in medicine. Also Professor David Ofori-Adjei, the architect of rational drug use policy in Ghana, whose work has influenced health systems across West Africa and beyond. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a reminder of the light notes, the reason why we're gathered here today, and I think it deserves a round of applause. We now invite you to a journey through the lives of our honorees, to see not just their titles, but their struggles, triumphs, and transformative impact. Our first documentary celebrates Professor David Ofori-Adjei, whose pioneering work in clinical pharmacology and rational drug use has shaped healthcare delivery in Ghana and beyond. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you our first documentary.
It's an honor and a pleasure to say a few words about my senior colleague and friend, Professor David Ofori-Adjei. David has played a very significant role in the health sector of this country. And he's an example of the type of professional that any developing country would like to have at the head of affairs in its health system. Professor Ofori-Adjei has been one of a kind. He's been very insightful, very innovative, and quite a professional that has invested a lot into this country's health system. He, unlike many, came back straight after finishing his specialist qualification and has grown within the sector and has been one of our big professionals, inspiring many younger professionals and training them to become part of the system that we have. And also, he has played a major role in making sure that scientists in this country meet the highest level of standards that you can find anywhere. He's been a professional par excellence, a friend, a colleague, and someone that I would always go to for advice.
I've known Professor Ofori-Adjei for, I would say, maybe about 30 years.
I knew him when I was a medical student. At that time, he had graduated already, had done his postgraduate training, and would be around, teaching. But he just about skipped my class.
My first zoology class, I was all lost, all by myself on the last bench in the lab. And I was just wondering what to do because I had no idea what had been done the weeks I've been away. And I saw him passing. He looked at me. Aren't you starting? I said, I don't know what to do. He said, okay, I'll come and help you.
My first contact with him was when I was a house officer. I was a house officer to his wife in the pediatrics block. So that probably is, let's say, 35, some 40 years ago.
I had known Professor David Ofori-Adjei since 1988 as a medical student. And at the time, as a medical student, it was very obvious to all of us that he was a very astute physician and teacher.
My name is David Ofori-Adjei. I was born at Pristia, where my father was working at the mining company there. It's called Ariston Gold Mines, 1929 Limited. I am the 6th of 11 offsprings from my mother, so I'm bang in the middle. I went to school at the Prestia Methodist Mixed School from class 1 to Form 2. Then I passed my common entrance examinations and I went to Mfanspim School. And I did my O-levels and A-levels at Mfanspim School, after which I entered the University of Ghana Medical School to do pre-med and finally medicine, graduating as a doctor. Subsequently, whilst doing my postgraduate program, I got a scholarship from the British government to go and do my specialty in internal medicine in the United Kingdom. I spent most of my time in Scotland and also in England itself. Whilst preparing to come home, a professor who has been a very good friend of ours in medical school had started a new department in the medical school called the Center for Tropical Clinical Pharmacology and Therapeutics. And when he heard that I had done infectious diseases whilst in the UK, and I also did gastroenterology whilst I was in the UK, he suggested that it would be nice if I could join him at the center so that we move it forward. So I returned home in 1982, was appointed a lecturer in the University of Ghana Medical School, first in the Department of Medicine, and then subsequently at the Center for Tropical Clinical Pharmacology and Therapeutics.
Interestingly, my first encounter with him was I was looking for a job at the CTCPT, and he came across as very affable, and he said, if you want a job, send me a letter. And those were the days of aerograms. David was lovely, and he said, you have a master's, you can do a PhD. Finish the PhD before you join us. And that is what happened.
As a postgraduate student here in Ghana, I had already started teaching in an area called pharmacology to Bachelor of Science nurses at Legon on a part-time basis, because I had developed an interest in the mechanisms of action of drugs, medications, an interest in research into those areas. And Professor Ofori-Adjei is a trained clinical pharmacologist. So in my discussion with him during my more senior postgraduate training in the UK, when I came back on holiday, he had suggested, you've been doing this a long time. Why don't you, develop a greater interest in it and work in the area? So I did.
2006, I was in a dilemma, should I come home or not? And I paid a visit here just to do some groundwork, check feasibility. And at the time, he was the director of Noguchi Institute for Medical Research. I remember very well David telling me that if I were in your shoes, and I probably would not come to Ghana now. Have you considered serving as a bridge between your university, and I was at Yale University at the time, and Ghana? And he challenged me that, can you imagine the good that you can do?
People may not know, but he actually led us to put in let me call it an institute-wide program to look at Borrelia ulcer.
We have worked in various areas in the pharmaceutical sector, access to medicines, and all the issues related to medicines. Of course, over time, we also started working on issues around diseases like malaria, diabetes, and so forth and so on.
My working life with Professor David Ofori-Adjei and how he has impacted not just myself, but all his colleagues, his peers and his seniors, stem from the fact that he really teaches by doing. He teaches you by doing it with you. Secondly, Professor David Ofori-Adjei has a wonderful deference to old age. So in all the medical community, whether they are medics or others, Professor Ofosoma, law professor, he will go and defer to him in a way that you would know that should you have to walk that same path in what he did, you also go to Professor Ofori-Adjei or the like. So among the seniors, he was very deferring and yet very influential, because I believe his deferment allowed them to listen to him.
I don't know, but a few Ghanaian doctors I've dealt with in my earlier days before meeting them, they don't explain to you what happens or what you have and why, and the effect of what he's going to give you, and so on.
You can talk to Professor Ofori-Adjei about anything and everything, about furniture, about paintings, about music, about food. You know, he's not a one-track doctor. He's very skeptical about medicine, because he thinks that the human body can fight most things. So with just a little help, he's not a doctor who is, you know, give you 3, 4, 5, 6 prescriptions. No, you are not going to get that from him. I think that's the kind of thing I like. Plus, he's an educated man.
If I have any current regulatory challenge, I know that if I call him, he will have some sort of a solution or some sort of an input or a recommendation. It's not something that is because he has retired, he's not keeping up.
Professor David Ofori-Adjei is unstoppable.
He's dedicated, focused, and also very keen in training people.
He's a keen academic. He tries to understand the science of the work. But at the same time, he also tries to be a service delivery person, especially working on policy with the ministry. And last but not the least, he's very evidence-driven. He follows the facts. So in his medical practice, in his teaching, every day he wants to know what is the latest trend. He's not fossilized, and he's always open to new ideas.
I've seen an old man who knows how to use a computer like he does. He's very versatile. He's in his age, but out of his time. I don't know how to explain it. So in every area that you ask Prof to assist, he seems to be in that age. So I don't know whether I should call him ageless or timeless. And you'd expect that Prof would be of the old time, because, I mean, you know, as he's growing. But he seems to be as dynamic as we are. Regulation is dynamic.
I don't know if there had been any example of a physician scientist in Ghana that is practicing in Ghana. There are several Ghanaians who had gone abroad and had done research, but he was probably the most eminent person here. And he told me that maybe we could work on this concept and help the nation. So we have had this program, summer program we call, since 2007. And it's all his brain. I mean, he said that let's do that and have these doctors and PhDs exposed to state-of-the-art biomedical science at Yale. And when they come here, they would be able to be a cohort that could train. And over the years, we have actually probably trained or have over 40 Ghanaians doing that.
Bringing together pharmacists in this country, medics, policymakers, administrators, all looking at this very important area of medicine procurement, medicines access, medicines distribution, fake medicines, safe medicines. He may not have had a direct hand in it, or maybe he did. But all these developments, like currently, us having a robust Food and Drugs Administration, a robust Ghana College of Physicians and Surgeons, a robust this, a robust that, bringing all these professionals together, all with the focus of medicine safety. We can't write the history of medicine safety in this country and leave him out.
Just recently, we are supposed to be able to set up an ethics council, to enable us to reach what we call WHO Maturity Level 4, an ethics council that will regulate all the ethics bodies in the country. And the European Union has asked that if we can set that up, they will support us. And Prof is driving that for us.
When I became director of Noguchi, and I was director of Noguchi before I went to the Ghana College of Physicians and Surgeons, one of the things that I noticed in administering the place was that the scientists were kept very close to themselves. They didn't share ideas. There was nothing in the institute that showed people sharing ideas between themselves. So what I did was that I asked a psychologist from the University of Ghana Business School to help us team build at Noguchi.
I was talking to one of the people who work with Ofori-Adjei, and he was telling me that, when we heard that this our lead money was coming to Ghana, and we managed to lobby to the point where we got to know that the money was coming to Noguchi. We thought, we'll collect the money, and probably hold a research meeting, in other words, do short-term things. But Ofori-Adjei decided that no, we are going to use this money to put up a clinical trial facility. And that is still sitting there, monumental. It's probably the only, it's not that probably, it's the only one in the country with all the facilities that you would expect to see in a clinical trial.
Internationally, I have worked with Management Sciences for Health, which is a US company that works mainly for the USAID. My involvement began when we decided to set up an international network for the rational use of medicines. I've also worked closely with the WHO in the same area of rational use of medicine. Actually, I've been engaged with the WHO in the development of the model list of essential medicines that the WHO produces regularly for countries to copy or adapt for their use if they don't have the mechanism to do one of their own. My other area is with scholarly publications.
Ofori-Adjei will remember for many, many things.
He's a man of foresight, a visionary. A case in point, COVID epidemic. Most of the students that had come through Yale were actually the people who spearheaded the COVID pandemic here. And that was a vision that he had several years ago in the making.
He made a lot of contribution. One, to the proper use of drugs in this country.
Development of a clinical guideline in this country is called the Standard Treatment Guidelines. That document is the primary document that determines which medicines are required in this country for the most common disease conditions that exist in the country. Based on this, another document is produced called the Essential Medicines List, which then becomes the tool for the government of Ghana and the Ministry of Health to procure the appropriate drugs for the common conditions that exist here.
Indeed, thanks to Professor David Ofori-Adjei's work in clinical pharmacology, he was an active part of the then pharmacy board when there were no regulators like the FDA or the Pharmacy Council. So Professor David Ofori-Adjei can be said to be one of the fathers of clinical pharmacology in Ghana and across Africa.
And indeed, the first and only time that the World Health Organization held its major meeting of medicine selection in a country outside Europe, in Africa, was in Ghana. And it was under nobody else's direction but that of Professor Ofori-Adjei. Professor Ofori-Adjei is one of the few professors. I'm in academia myself, and I would tell you there are not many people who have titles that actually practice it. And he's one of the few for me, especially in the area of medicine. He understands his field, he practices it, and he makes it simple. I don't think there's a simpler way I could put it.
Yeah, he's been that sort of person, allowed you to do what you wanted to do.
with guidance. So I wouldn't say I've had much of any difficulty with him. Our relationship has been, right now I'd even describe it not as a father-son relationship, more like brothers as I've grown up.
He has been very active in bringing up young colleagues along with him, teaching at all levels, undergraduate and postgraduate, and he's doing very well. He's also helped a lot of people with their research, which is very good. Because personally, I think the future of the nation is to have more well-trained younger colleagues to take off from where the older ones have left off.
He should continue to mentor. Mentorship is a continuous process. It never ends. And we thank him for what he has done for the medical school, for the University of Ghana, and for the country at large, and also for the individuals who've benefited from his mentorship.
And so it's with a great pleasure and quite an honor that I say hello to David and thank you for your service to Ghana and that you are one of the greats in the health sector of Ghana.
Vision and a commitment to breaking barriers. Ladies and gentlemen, documentary 2.
I know Prof. Hesse from 2 different streams, one from the academic route and one from school route.
Prof is very meticulous, she's firm, and she wants things to be done right.
She's humble, non-assuming, but very effective leader. I saw her as a mentor, a consummate professional, and a leader with a purpose.
She is a very strong woman, and amazingly, she's a family woman as well.
I was born at Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology in the 50s. My father was a lecturer in geography, and my mother was a teacher at the primary school. So, first 8 years of my life I spent on campus. I was a campus kid at the primary school. And then when I was 9, our father got a sponsorship to go and do his PhD in Strasbourg, in France. So he took us along. At the time there were 4 children, my mother. So we all went along and we schooled, finished primary and did my first year secondary school in France. So that made me fluent in French. So on his return, he went to Cape Coast University, and I went to Wesley Girls High School, started in Form 2. And I continued to 6th form. I was assistant senior prefect. The current vice president was my senior prefect. And then I went to University of Ghana Medical School in 1971.
I was in
come with her, and I went to visit friends, and I was at the cafeteria, and I saw a lady pass by, and I saw her, and I was attracted to her. She passed by, she had hall, Mensa Saba Hall. So she passed by the cafeteria and went to Mensa Saba Hall. But I do remember distinctly that I'd like to be a friend to this woman. And then we met, and I got to know that she was in the medical school. And so was I, but we're not in the same class. Although we entered the medical school together. She was in the medical school, was in first year, and I was in second year at the time. And so we met, and then our friendship grew from there on.
I am told that when I was 4 years old, I started talking about what I was going to do when I grew up. And I was telling everybody I was going to be a pediatric surgeon. So since I didn't have anybody in the family who was a pediatric surgeon, my father had a distant cousin who was a doctor in the military. But I believe that must have been God's inspiration and his direction for my life.
In 1979, she was in the residency program, and she passed the primary for the fellowship for the College of Surgeons. And those days, the exams were held in Ghana. She got a fellowship for the College of Surgeons in Edinburgh.
The system in the UK in terms of consumables and how they were used was very different from what we had in Ghana when I went to train in 1981 after my first degree here. Over there, everything was available, so disposing of it was easy, even when it wasn't really unsterile, but because it had been opened from the packaging from the factory, though it hadn't been used, it would be thrown away. And for me, that was such a big waste, because here we were in Ghana before I traveled, getting certain consumables like sutures, like gauze, was so difficult. So it immediately made me think, even there, I was very economical with the way I used my sutures. So my theater nurses were very happy with me. They knew with me I would be as economical as I could be whilst being safe for the patient, and would just use what I need and not waste stuff.
I think she's the first female or the first pediatric surgeon in the country. So, and eventually he rose to be the acting head of Kolebu Teaching Hospital.
That was very challenging because there were a lot of issues in the administration of, especially the Director of Medical Affairs. Head of department, it was much easier because the actual work you could do after you had done your clinical work and so on, it was much easier. But when I became Director of Medical Affairs, there were just so many meetings, so many commitments, so many issues you had to deal with all the time that I really had to cut back on my clinical responsibilities. That was very challenging.
One of the major assignments she undertook was to ensure that Kolebu developed clinical policy guidelines. And I will proudly say that, she put me in charge of that. And we put a team together and we developed all these policies so that at any particular time, if, for instance, there is a development within the hospital, we could foresee what needed to be done.
I would say Prof has been the first of many things. Prof was the first female professor in surgery. Prof was the first female head of the Department of Surgery, and also medical director and acting CEO of the teaching hospital. And by doing that, we believe she paved the way for a lot of the young females to look at her and see that indeed it is possible.
My first very personal encounter with Prof. Hesse was when I passed my membership exams. And I remember walking into the room and it was full of, I think there were just about 2 females in there, and one of them was Professor Hesse. in that exam, I was the only female candidate as well. And I remember when I went into that room, she was one of the first people to walk up to me and tell me how proud she was of me, you know. And at that time, she didn't know me personally. And at that stage, I knew this is somebody I wanted to be like. She just inspired me at that point.
I think from the very first day I started med school, Prof picked me up as someone she wanted to mentor. And she guided me through my challenges in medical school. I was then working in a financial institution before I switched back to medical school. So the switch was very swift, and I needed time to grasp whatever medicine was about. But Prof was there. She provided the material. She provided the guidance. Whenever I had challenges with any course, Prof was always available to help me or provide support with either the faculty to help me to get it.
Despite how busy she is, no matter how voluminous a document is, Prof would edit it and really bring various perspectives. You'll be surprised. So most of the time, I really wondered how she was able to combine all that with family, professional work, administration, and so on.
On one of her interviews, she told us was that she is a professor, she is a big girl, but as soon as she gets home, she leaves everybody, the professor, every title out there, and at home she becomes the mother and a wife. And I think that's another social important lesson we can learn from women who attain such heights.
Growing up, I didn't notice that she was a busy person. So in terms of making time, she was always making time for us. Homework, she tended to be around, and she helped us with homework. She helped me to learn how to cook. And in terms of her work, it was seeing her different personality, because at home she was a mother, but at work she was a leader.
My mom is an amazing cook, but she used to bake cakes for us for every birthday. So every birthday we would have a homemade cake, and it wasn't just like a home-baked cake. It was like literally decorated, all with icing, like the whole works, something that you think was store-bought. And it was so, so special. Everybody's birthday, every year. And Christmas, oh, it was so magical.
You know, no matter how busy the week was, she'd always make sure we all sat down for Sunday dinner. We all ate together and spent that time together as a family. It really didn't matter how busy everything else was going. She really made that a point. We'd chip in to help cook sometimes, but mostly it was her. And it's a really great memory and something I look back on fondly.
I think there was one time where I, with my cousin, we wanted to go to a party and asked for permission, but we were not allowed to go. So I think we snuck out of the house, and then we went. We came back, the house was locked. So we ended up sleeping outside, waiting. Usually they come and open the door in the morning. It was a Sunday morning, so it was open. So we tried to sneak in and act like nothing happened, but we were caught. And that was when I saw my mother was very upset. I think it was the first time she really disciplined me. That was, I think after that, I don't think I ever did anything like that.
I have memories of it, but I can't say they were all great memories.
The Accra College of Medicine will be 10 years old this year. And it started from a conversation we had with our second son and his wife, who are both in the finance field. And they came to us and said, a lot of their classmates, they had attended SOS in Tema. A lot of their classmates were finding it challenging, or their schoolmates were finding it challenging to get into medicine, though they wanted to be doctors.
Actually, I was surprised because I didn't think that they were going that direction. When they came and told me that, they want to start a medical school, I must say that I was so excited because I know their pedigree, that if they start a medical school, it will be the best in Ghana. So do you know what I did? And this to an Ashanti is unthinkable. I went and sold my house in Kumasi to help them start it, to take up a 10% share.
It was almost impossible to train doctors outside Kolebu. That was how it was. As if without Kolebu, no training could be done. But we had other medical schools coming on board in the public sector. Then eventually we had these two senior alumni of the Medical School, University of Ghana, venturing into private practice and private medical education. And I believe it's a very good step for us. Yes, it's always bring a certain culture of the private sector into what we do. And there you are a little flexible. You know, the university has rules, sometimes very difficult to change some of these. But being in the private medical school, you want to go for the best. What is the best practice elsewhere in the world? Don't forget, some of these big universities, Harvard, Stanford, they are all private universities.
So we had to get all the regulatory framework sorted out. We had to constitute a board, and we relied on friends that we knew who had a lot of experience, who had been in this kind of business before, and that's how we got to set it up.
I was the founding chairman, and I still continue to be the chairman of Accra College of Medicine. And I believe that they are doing a fantastic job and going to leave one of the lasting legacies of the Hesses in this country.
I'm part of the first batch of medical graduates from the Accra College of Medicine. And not only was she my lecturer, but she's also my mentor. So she's been one guiding me throughout my professional journey. We both went to Wesley Girls together, so we also meet on that line as old girls to also interact.
I was taught by both of them and then mentored and eventually became the dean of the medical school whilst working with them in their private medical school. And in our profession, that respect is still there for your teachers, for your seniors. And they continue to mentor. Sometimes they could send you WhatsApp, some messages of encouragement. Whilst I was dean, Prof. Hesse used to do that, encouraging you to look at some aspect of things they think we could improve for the medical school.
Greatest achievement? I don't know. I don't think I have an answer for that. I am grateful for everything I have had the opportunity to go through, because I believe there's always something to learn from every experience. But I haven't really thought of it as achievements. It's happened. I thank God for it, but that's what He planned, so.
I think that the most important contribution is the what I'll call the accelerated interest that her persona and her achievement generated in the surgical specialty, especially pediatric surgery. Now we have many more that I believe she contributed in training. And you'll be surprised to know the number of female surgeons in Ghana. It was not the case before. Surgery was a preserve of men. And to get Prof. Hesse come on the scene, highly qualified surgeon, trainer, consultant. In fact, so her mentoring has really gone beyond the walls of Kolebu, and her peers will attest to this.
She has definitely been a trailblazer in pediatrics in Ghana. If I want to think, and I've been around for a long time, I'm 77 years old, there are two names that to me stand out in the pediatric world to me. This Professor Bohine and Professor Afua Hesse.
Prof. Hesse has been one of our strongest pillars in terms of female advocacy, gender equity, and showing the path for a younger generation of women. She's been the president of the Medical Women association, and that's a very strong group that continues to advocate for the right of women, children, and others. And Prof has been one of that. And she's been exemplary in many of the things she does. She still continues to come around and support, teach students, and still work for the University of Ghana Medical School in any opportunity that she finds herself. And we think this is a very great example for many of us to follow and for the younger generations to follow.
One of our core values in Accra College of Medicine is hard power.
That's the core of our mission as Accra College of Medicine, to produce doctors who don't just do it at medicine and cases, but in heart want to really touch human lives and transform them. And that is actually Afua more or less formalizing her life philosophy.
Any day, any time. I mean, I would always mention her name in dispatches, because working with her was a good experience. Yes.
It has been a privilege to have known the Hesses for about half a century. And this is not to flatter her. There's not one occasion that I said that in her character, that's not in medical, you could say, this is, Afua, watch this.
It's admirable to see that she's smart, she thinks ahead, and in a sense, I call her, she doesn't know, but she's a prophetess, because not only does she feel what's going to happen, but she plans for it. And so it helps you see the future and together work towards the future.
Going forth, you would know that all the barriers you broke for us to follow, we will follow with the dedication, with the integrity, and with the passion that you trained us to do. And that ceiling you broke for us, we will reach the skies for you.
What can we say? You have not just served medicine, you have ministered through it. You have embodied the aphorism that leadership is not simply a title on a name tag, it is a testimony on a timeline. Thank you for your service. Ladies and gentlemen, round of applause, let's show it for them. If you just joined us at the Ghana College of Physicians and Surgeons, this evening we have met to celebrate leadership at the Leadership Symposium 2025. It's not just a meeting of professionals, it's a meeting of purposes, a convergence of legacies, and a celebration of leadership. Under the sacred roof today, we will do more than just talk about leadership. We would encounter it, and then we will honor it. Permit me to also highlight the presence of some key persons in the room. We requested for names, and you know what happened? They took a photograph of the registration document and sent it. The problem is that I am not a pharmacist. Doctors wrote on that sheet. And so I will quickly look around, and if you catch my eye, as the speaker would say in parliamentary practice, I would do the honor of having you. There are some who we will already have on program who would be coming here, but we don't want to miss the pleasure of celebrating those who could come with us. And so in no particular order, let's recognize the presence of our own rector of the college, Professor Richard Adanu. I also see around a trio of gentlemen who served with Professor Hesse when I was in the medical school as pediatric surgeons. And I see Dr. Piedu Mensah there. I see Dr. Glover, and then I saw Dr. Echiri somewhere. And Dr. Echiri is also here. Since I'm here, let's celebrate Professor Emeritus Adjei, who is also here with us. I see the Vice President of the GMA, Professor N.S. York, here with us. I'd like to recognize the Head of Department of the Faculty Community Health, Professor Benedict Callis-Tego. He has caught my eye as well. I see the Director of the Family Life Division of the Ghana Health Service, Noble Dr. Brighton. Head of Department Parasitology, Noguchi Memorial, Professor Ansa. We also have decision makers, some decision makers in the health space here with us. And the most important of them is our own Deputy Minister of Health. She generously accepted at a very late hour when we were able to reach her to be here, but we believe that it would only be justice if she can also add her voice to this program. So I give you our Deputy Minister of Health, Dr. Grace Ayensu Dankwa, a Ghanaian surgeon, academic, and politician. Please keep clapping as she makes her way. Deputy Minister of Health and MP for Esikado Ketan constituency. She's a US-trained, double-certified general and reconstructive surgeon. She has taught surgery for over 15 years at the University of Utah and lectures at the University of Cape Coast. She is the founder of Healing Hands organization and a fellow of the American and Ghana Colleges of Surgeons, and a passionate advocate for women and children health. Help me make welcome the Deputy Minister.
Thank you, everyone. After watching the documentary, I don't know what else I can say. And also, thank you for having me. I'm really privileged to be here. Mr. Chairperson, distinguished guests, colleagues in the health sector, ladies and gentlemen. Again, I'm really privileged to be here. I know it was the last minute, but I really wanted to be here. So I just heard about it today, and I've been at the ministries. I think today is day 3. So I'm a new Deputy Minister of Health, but this is a program that I'm very interested in. Thankfully, when I got here, I see a lot of people I have worked with, even though I have not been formally in the Ghana health system. I've worked with a lot of senior colleagues here. Prof. Deborah is here. I see Prof. Apidu right there. I see Prof. Hesse. I see a lot of people that I worked with, not as formally, but I'm a general and reconstructive surgeon trained in the US, and I've been teaching for 15 years. But I came to Ghana somewhere around 2012, and since then, even though I have not been formally integrated to the Ghana health system, what I have done in the past is to look at people who have little or no access to health care. So this is a program by the American College of Surgeons. And so what we did was they sent some of us, those of us who wanted to go back home, especially to Africa and specifically to sub-Saharan Africa. They sent us to go back home to make access to healthcare a reality. When we talk about access to healthcare, we're talking about the last mile. We are talking about the people who have little or zero access to healthcare. We call them the bottom billion. They're in the ends of the rope. They never have access. That is the person that has to take, for instance, walk through the river, now get a motorbike, and then get a boboya, and from the boboya get a taxi before they can get to healthcare. So what I have done in the past is to really bring healthcare through mobile health as well as through telemedicine, and also provided medical supplies and consumables through those people in the last mile. And so to be here today, to see my senior colleagues, all the good works, Prof. Hesse, women in surgery, it's like, I'm so excited. I'm in heaven right now. Because for those of us women who go into surgery, it's a very tough field. And especially for me, since I trained in the US, it's one of the toughest professions to get into. And especially as a woman who wants to have family, it's even tougher because you have opportunities where you will be asked, do you want to have a family or you want to be a surgeon? And so oftentimes we are asked to make a decision whether we want one or the other. But people like Prof. Hesse have shown us that you can do both. And so for those of us who have been following her, I think I've taught in her school a little bit. I'm on her school, what's it called? I haven't been paid yet, but I don't think not that you haven't paid me, but I didn't really come to teach, so I haven't collected a paycheck yet. But what I'm saying is to see her and to see how far she has come, to see that she's a family woman, to see that she's also a surgeon. She takes command of a theater. She is a woman who is a gang-ho, who's going a trailblazer. For those of us who are looking at her, I think she has been one of my mentors for a long time that she doesn't really know, because I saw how she was maneuvering the Ghana system. And for those of us who come from outside the country, it's a little bit scary. But when I saw what she was doing, it was really, really one of the things that kept me here, because at some point I could have gone back. And also to talk about leadership in medicine. I think Ghana is at a crossroads. And at this juncture, we have to decide how we want our health system to be. We all know the challenges in the health system. And the people in this room, I think, are the decision makers as to which direction we want to go. We are the health ministry. We are very, very involved. Me, for instance, and my minister, we really want to help the health system. President Mahama has also come up with some good programs. For instance, the pre-primary healthcare, once implemented, will be one of the reasons how we can really reshape or reset the Ghana health system. If we're able to do free primary healthcare with a good implementation, I think that our health system will change, because now we'll be more towards preventative and promotive rather than the curative system that we are practicing now. Following up on that, we also have one of our other flagship program, which is the Ghana Medical Trust Fund. That is the other supplementary insurance that really goes to the people who have maxed out on the national health insurance. So for me, looking forward, I see all my senior colleagues here. I see all my good surgeons. I know, I see all the people I've worked with, Madam Justina from the blood bank and everyone else. I've also been on the FDA technical advisory for vaccines and biological products for over 5 years, I think. So I'm really happy to be here. I'm really happy to be nominated by President Mahama, or chosen by President Mahama to be the Deputy Minister of Health, and I'm here to really support. So hopefully, for me, I think that at some point, we'll have to reconvene this group again, because we want to know your ideas on how best we can reshape the Ghana health system. We need you, we need your expertise, we need your advice, we need your chastising, we need everything that you have to offer, because you in this room are
the Ghana health system. So help us help you. On behalf of my minister and President John Dramani Mahama, we say a big thank you for your contributions, for helping the Ghanaians and our health, and we are very appreciative, and we're here to support every program that you do. Prof. Deborah will call me every program, and I'll run and come. My office is right down the corner. So thank you again. Thank you, Prof. And thank you, Prof. David Ofori-Adjei. Thank you so much. We are grateful, we are appreciative, and we pray that the good Lord continue to bless you, and also you bring more blessings to us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Honorable Minister, Dr. Grace Ayesu-Dankwa. Please let's give it up for her as she takes her seat. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, now we are privileged to hear from a keynote speaker whose own leadership in higher education mirrors today's theme of transformational influence. She is the provost of Hesse University and a champion for ethical, innovative, and purpose-driven education. Professor Angela Owusu-Ansah brings more than 30 years of academic and administrative experience in the United States and Ghana. To her current role as provost of Hesse University, a member of the Phi Kappa Phi community of scholars and professionals, as she strives for higher education quality, serving on National University Accreditation Agency Board, such as the Ghana Tertiary Education Council, and serving 18 years on the United States Council for Accreditation of Educator Preparation. With her education background in behavior statistics, she is a prominent, she has contributed to the development of Africa's first university ranking system designed to embolden Southern theory systems change in Africa's universities, the continent, and better higher education quality. I will go on and on with her achievements, but I wrap it up with her research interest is in impact, evaluation, and change in Africa's higher education, specifically digitized higher education instruction, the scholarship of higher education teaching and learning as a science, and data for the future of African higher education, ML, and research on the continent for change. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Professor Angela Owusu-Ansah.
Ministers and presidents and rectors, good afternoon. I started by saying that I was full. After watching the documentaries, there's nothing else to add. There's no way we or I would have known all that we've learned this afternoon. So I'll keep it brief. And what I'll try to do, actually I wrote two different speeches. One was very long, I wasn't sure, and I have a shorter one. So I'll do the very short one. And I'll emphasize just two things. How it really looks like in the trenches, and I'll be brief. So it is a rare privilege for me to stand here today in a room of people whose daily work touches the very heart of our lives, the dignity of health. We are here to celebrate two remarkable leaders, and we have done so remarkably through the life stories we just listened to. Professor Afua Hesse, a pioneer whose courage has carved many, many paths for women and the marginalized. Professor David Ofori-Adjei, a scholar, a reformer, whose work on rational drug use has saved lives quietly, systematically, and enduringly. There are stories about medicine, but their legacies, as we've just seen, are beyond our measure. I would like to, let me begin with Professor Afua Hesse. I can't even imagine how she felt when she first walked into the first pediatric surgery theater as the first Ghanaian woman to do so. She wasn't just another person in that room, she was holding the hopes of many, many others. I'll tell two stories about how I'm very certain that she went through. I'm very sure that in the position you were in, Professor, I will also share my little story. In the university, one of the universities I worked in the States, it was a predominantly white university. I believe I was one of two persons of color. And the weight that I was bearing, and I'm sure you bore the same, was that it wasn't about me. It wasn't even about the work we were doing. It was so important for us to make sure that we excelled so that all other women, and we bear it so quietly, and I'm looking at you and you're nodding. We never talk about it. You go to bed around 1 a.m., you're up at 5 a.m., and nobody knows what's going on. How about the preparation for the job, the school, the slight, as they say now, the shade that comes from the young men in the room with you, and the comments that you have to endure? They all go unnoticed, and you bear it all. One professor said to me once, this was also in the States, he says, I don't know why you work so hard. You're a black woman, you have a name nobody can pronounce, and you definitely are not going to be one of our best. But those are the kinds of comments that spur you on. As I said, everything has been said, so I'm just going to be telling stories. So the power of female leadership is not simply in adding a woman's voice to the table. It is in changing the conversation at the table. Professor Hesse's leadership has been grounded in empathy and excellence, and in being the true embodiment of the woman that the Bible describes. Two qualities that together create not only competent systems, but compassionate ones. Women make up the majority of the healthcare workforce, yet they are vastly underrepresented in leadership. What might change? What innovations might we unlock if that imbalance shifted? Her career is a quiet but insistent answer to that question. She has shown us that leadership is not about being the only one, it is about ensuring you're not the last one. I'd like to talk a little bit about Professor David Ofori-Adjei. His work focuses on something most of us take for granted, the prescription pad, and clearly many other things that I've learned today. Think about this. A drug can heal or it can harm. It can be life-saving or life-threatening. The difference lies not just in the science, but in the choices we make when we prescribe. I'll share two short stories again. My sister-in-law is a pharmacist, and she has many stories that she typically shares. And I'd like us to think, just as I shared about Professor Hesse's silent worries, one of the things we haven't talked about when it comes to Professor Adjei is that the context within which he had to work. The context that brings so many different challenges and tears. So here's story number one. My sister-in-law, the pharmacist, said she interpreted the prescription as such. mix this powder with the equivalent of water of 7 bottles of beer. You know where this is going. So a few months later, the gentleman returns and says, I've been drinking 7 bottles of beer every week, and I'm still not getting better. Then there's the other one, which had to do with birth control. And so described the pill and how the pill was to be taken. So a furious new father comes and says, I thought she said this would prevent us having children. So she asked him, how were you guys taking it? He said, well, this is the gentleman, I took it every day. So I say this to say that there's, in addition to the amazing context that we've shared here, there are other underlying pieces that we never really talk about. Professor Ofori-Adjei's decades of work in clinical pharmacology have elevated many choices, making us all smarter, safer, and more ethical. Through guidelines, education, and stewardship, he has built systems that ensure our medicines are used not only effectively, but wisely. His leadership reminds us the health of a nation is shaped as much by the quality of its policies as by the skill of its physicians. Around the world, countries that have transformed healthcare have done so by embedding good practice into their systems. They digitize treatment guidelines, they tie insurance reimbursements to evidence-based care, they integrate patient education into national culture. In Ghana, the foundations are here. We can do better. I will end by saying, when we think of leadership in healthcare, of our 2 distinguished honorees, we can think of it as a relay race, which has been implied throughout the day. One leader runs their leg, carrying their baton with strength and focus. But the true test is not how fast they run, it is how well they pass it on. Professor Hesse has passed on courage. Professor Ofori-Adjei has passed on integrity. Now the baton is in our hands. The question is, will we run our leg in a way that leaves the system stronger than we found it? If we break barriers with purpose and prescribe change with integrity, then like the leaders we honor today, we will not only heal patients, we will heal the very systems that serve them. Thank you, Professors Adjei and Hesse. Thank you for who you are.
Thank you so much, Prof. Angela Owusu Ansa. Let's hear it for her one more time. Our timeless college's motto, Pro Vita Sentia, translates knowledge for life. And that is at the heartbeat of today's event. This is not just knowledge for knowledge's sake. It is wisdom that has weight. It is insight that heals and understanding that lifts generations. Thanks for sharing those important perspectives as our keynote speaker. Let's go.
Would like to acknowledge our media partners, Star 103.5 FM, GH1 Television, Joy 99.7 FM, Joy Prime, Pan-African Television, GTV, and MS284.
Let's hear it for them as well. And once again, this program is possible by the kind courtesy of many generous sponsors. And we would like to celebrate with an applause ADBGH Medicals, suppliers of medical equipment. We thank you for your contribution. UNFPA have also supported us. We're grateful for your contribution. The Ghana Health Service, and they are represented here by Dr. Abdullah Abubakar, Director Special Duties at the Office of the DG. You're welcome, sir. We also have an important sponsor, JPIGO, John Hopkins University affiliate. JPIGO, they are represented by Dr. Pearl Nanka Bruce. Doc and your team, you're welcome. We also have sponsorship from the UGMC, and the CEO is here with us, Prof. Abdullah Tanko. Prof. Very well, very well. Let's recognize Dr. Tanko. We also would like to recognize the support we've received from Sonotech Medical and Diagnostic Center. The MD, Dr. Grace Bachman, is here representing the team. From the University of Ghana Medical and Dental Schools, we also received some support. We'd like to recognize the presence of the Dean of the Dental School, Professor Sandra Hewlett. We also have support from Saxton, Belacqua, Health Information System, Blochem Industries. Let's show them some love, as well as alumni of the University of Ghana Medical School.
And please let's acknowledge our Zoom participants. Our Zoom is full to capacity of 1,000 plus people joining us on Zoom from around the country. That deserves a round of applause. And also, if there are any challenges to those watching on Zoom, you could join live on YouTube. So, yeah, please keep that in mind. But recently, Ghana hosted the African Health Sovereignty Summit, and it had under one roof a plethora of leaders across the African continent and within the health sector. And present was the Director General of the WHO, Tedros Ghebreyesus, when he made succinctly clear a statement that has sat with me for so long, and this is something we are demonstrating here right now. He says that the difference between crisis and opportunity is leadership, and that is exactly what has rolled out before our very eyes as we gather here to celebrate leadership. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are not off the gear, we are on course, and we need our applause for us.
Thank you so much for that. We are shifting quickly to our panel discussion. We would like to do this quickly so that we can also give a bit of opportunity for those who have an urgent question or two. We also recognize that not everyone who is in the auditorium had access to the brochure. There are some of the speeches that we skipped that are captured in the brochure. So we want to ensure that everyone has access to that. Before I introduce the panel for the discussion, I'd like for the technical team to project the QR code so that everyone in the room can track along with us. You scan the QR code and you can go home with the brochure for the event.
And also give feedback on the program, what you think, your comments, your submissions, and what you would like the college to.
Whilst we're at it, let's recognize some other dignitaries whose names have reached our attention. We have in the room from Noguchi, Professor Kwejo Koram. Prof, thank you for coming. We also have in the room the training coordinator of the Ghana College of Physicians and Surgeons, Dr. Nyanko. Doc, thank you. And the organizing class for this leadership symposium is the Faculty of Public Health, and the faculty's chair is also with us. Let's recognize Professor Irene Ejapong. Thank you, ma'am. We recognized a short while ago the rector, and the vice rector is also here with us. Let's celebrate Professor Henry Lawson. For our moderated panel discussion, I'd like to invite these gentlemen and ladies to join me here. With a round of applause, let's receive the former Dean, School of Medicine and Dentistry, University of Ghana, Professor Margaret Lati. Hey, Prof brought her supporters, eh? Oh, you are clapping for Max. Prof, you're welcome. From the College of Health Sciences, University of Ghana, the Provost, Professor Alfred Edwin Yorson. You see, the moral of the story is that if you are going somewhere, take your supporters. They came with their students, and the students are honoring their lecturers. That's nice of you, students. Let's also recognize from Noguchi, its director, Noguchi Memorial Institute of Medical Research, its director, Professor Dorothy Yeboah Menu. And we also have an international health policy expert with us. Let's recognize the presence of Dr. Delano Dovlo as we invite him to join us up here. Welcome again. This first set of questions would go for all of you. We want you, indeed, all of you are connected to our honorees this evening. And in this panel session, we are breaking down their legacy in two conversations. We're having a conversation on breaking barriers, because healthcare must have no gender bias. And as well, looking at prescribing change, because systems would only heal when leaders dare to correct what others tolerate. So this will be the two central themes. Oh, can we have our technical team well, let's celebrate Prof for servant leadership. He sees the problem and he fixes it. Thank you very much, Professor. So, both Professor Hesse and Prof. Adjei have influenced you and your journeys in diverse ways with their leadership. If you can tell us in a simple phrase what transformational impact that you can recall is connected with them. Any transformational impact that you have shared with them. Thanks for sharing that. Let's have Prof. Yosin.
Yes, thanks for the opportunity. I worked under and waited for Afua Hesse when she was the medical director. I was the quality improvement coordinator for Honoree. So we had a lot of opportunities to work together. She was firm and left little for discretion. So we went by the rules, and that's what a strong leader does.
It might not be pleasant for everybody all the time, but in order to move an institution such as Kolebu forward, you needed to do that, and that's exactly what she did. So being firm, being focused, going by the rules, leaving little room for discretion.
Adherence to rules for Professor Hesse. Prof. Dorothy.
Thank you very much. I have worked with Professor Ofori-Adjei, so it's natural that I could speak of one or two things that I learned from Prof. Prof, when he was the director, I was a research assistant, and I saw his flair for collaboration and partnership, and the need to generate knowledge, not in vacuum, but being connected to real life needs. So as a director, I saw how he was very much interested in multidisciplinary studies, connecting the Institute to Ghana Health Service. In fact, he created a platform whereby Noguchi scientists and Ghana Health Service program managers can meet and discuss, and through that, develop appropriate programs. And so he created what we called Bridging Research and Policy Divide Conferences. Post his retirement, it came down, but I learned that that was a very good thing, and through my scientific career, I've learned to collaborate with the end user. So as director, I have resuscitated the Bridging the Research and Policy Divide Conference. And Prof, thank you, because during your time that you were so much interested in mentorship and building capacity that a lot of us at Noguchi in leadership now, you helped us to secure our scholarship to do masters and PhD. I can see Anita, I can see Nancy, and all of us, we did our PhD and masters under you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Dr. Dovlo.
Thank you. Thank you.
Who is your bias for?
Thank you very much. I'm old enough to speak for both, very briefly. And first for Professor Hesse, I was a few years behind her in the medical school. And for me, if you imagine that my class of 70 had only 10 or so women at the time. And so when you see somebody like this who becomes a leader, who is going into the area of surgery, it's meant a lot to me and to what I thought I should do myself as a man pursuing the same profession. With Professor David Ofori-Adjei, it's been a long history. During my time in the Ministry of Health, the sort of work he does meant a lot of interaction with those of us working on policy systems. And there's another anecdote I'll probably tell later about how, when I had to flee from the Ministry of Health, he took me into Noguchi for a short period. I owe them both a debt of gratitude.
I'm sure the day will come when we would need to explore this story better. But ladies and gentlemen, we would want to now turn our attention to Professor Hesse. And with this, I would have this conversation with Professor Yosin and Lati. You have, worked closely with her. You've described her leadership attributes, etc. And in the documentary that was shown, there was an allusion to how she was leading during a very difficult time at Kolebu. What would you say that enabled her navigate those institutional challenges? And what strategies do you recall which current leaders, either at Kolebu or any health institution or any manager in a health space, can adopt that will make them more effective as leaders?
Right. Thank you very much. So, for Prof. Hesse, today we honor her as the first female pediatric surgeon. But she didn't set out with an objective to be the first female pediatric surgeon. She set out with an objective to be an excellent pediatric surgeon. So she worked hard. And there were lots of odds against her, but she was determined to go through all those. There was no time for whining and crying. She was focused, and she was also held by her mentor, which was Emeritus Professor E. Bedu, and also supported by her husband, Professor Afua Hesse. And she did all that, also with the help of God. And today we honor her because of what she has done. So the lesson I take from all that is that when you have to do work, you do it properly, you do things right, you don't cover up, you take care of your missions and the commissions, you work hard, and you seek help from God, and you become an excellent, whatever it is you want to be. And at the end of the day, it's men and God who will honor you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prof. Hesse. Prof. Hesse, as Prof. Latte indicated, show the path that it doesn't matter whether you are a female, you are a male, you are from minority, you are from a marginalized group. You need to show your skill, and your skill will always speak for you. And also showing that you can do what you've been entrusted to do. And this she did excellently as a surgeon and as a leader in every aspect, and also as a strong advocate for other women, creating opportunities for other women. And we can safely say that part of the contribution, the legacies, is now we have, as university, probably outside the School of Nursing, the College of Health Sciences has the most female compared to males. And this in the health profession is something to be very proud about. And these are the leadership qualities that we've seen. Should she have failed in her endeavors, I don't think we will be where we are today. So we honor her greatly and owe a great debt of gratitude for the leadership role she has
So
carried.
from these two, we glean that first set out to be excellent, and then the rest would follow, regardless of gender, because leadership can be unboxed from biases and gender identity. Let's have our other two panelists, Prof. Yeboah and Dovlo. Let's also reflect on Prof. Ofori-Adjei's legacy with the work he did with rational drug use and medical research, his leadership style and influence in policy implementation, research culture. What aspects of his approach are most relevant for today's healthcare leaders? Prof. Dovlo, Dr. Dovlo, let's have you, and then we'll have.
Thank you very much. And I think what I would like to say is that we all appreciated the strong technical and professional input that Professor David Ofori-Adjei brings to his work. But getting this to become an intricate part of policy and the way service is delivered, it's a different set of skills. And for me, that's what shows the greatest leadership potential in terms of combining that technical knowledge and skill with the ability to negotiate the sometimes difficult minefield of health politics and the different stakeholders in health. I think Professor Francis Offer said it in the documentary about being able to bring different sort of people together. Some of us were hotheads at the time, were gently brought to the table and how to understand and appreciate what he was about.
Prof, you're leading us with a lot of interesting unfinished stories. Let's hear from Professor Yeboah.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think, like I started talking about, I said that Prof. Ofori-Adjei has a lot of expertise and he has a lot of skills. He may be a clinician, but if you put him by the computer, you'll be surprised how much he knows about IT. As a director in Noguchi, I saw that. And Prof. Ofori-Adjei is able to work in a multidisciplinary group very well and maintaining his importance within the group. I remember when I wanted to do my PhD, and that time Buruli Osa, and I was going to Basel, and I wanted to go with all the isolates. That time it was a very important aspect of that work. He said, Shrewa, no. You need to be relevant, you need to do this. And I said, what is this man talking about? I think one of the key things that goes with Professor Ofori-Adjei is that he doesn't only regard that I'm a clinician and I know all. He likes to listen to the social scientists. So if you know the rational drug use, if you look at his work, he worked with people like Ahimfo, trying to get into the community, to understand the community perspective, to co-create the needed intervention. It's not like I'm a doctor, I have the skills, but I know it all. And that is, I think, very useful in terms of how he has been very successful.
Well, interesting insights. So from him, we're gleaning the importance of leveraging leadership to coordinate the work that people do, teamwork, team building, but particularly for him as well, you couldn't box him. He was a man of many talents, and he exhibited all of them, and that contributed positively. Yesterday, I learned a quote about what true education is. That when you're truly educated, you have to know everything about something, which is the area of your calling. Know everything about something, and also something about everything. That's what truly makes you a global. And we see that exemplified. We are working IT. Was he doing programming as well? All right. So we'll take a final question, and this feeds off the conversations that we've been having, that you have experienced this engagement with them directly, and we want to see what knock-off effect is had on the way that you lead today. What are some of the things that you are either doing, pursuing, that you can say is really coming from the path that they set?
So I think that's from Prof. Ofori-Adjei, the idea of a mentor-mentee relationship. It's important for would-be leaders to have a mentor. And it is also important for the mentees to be able to listen and take some strength from the mentor, but also to be able to also express, their difficulties, in a respectful way to the mentor. And I think that also we should start building leaders anytime we get the opportunity. So we don't wait till maybe 2030 or something like that. We should start building leaders now. It is good to have leadership training amongst all levels of people. For example, coming from an educational institution, that means that our medical students, if I'm looking at the profession, our house officers, our medical officers, our residents, at each level, there should be some leadership training. But the leadership training should not be just theoretical. We should give people an opportunity to put into practice what they are learning so that they can build on it. And from Prof. Hesse, I think one thing that struck me, was the desire for excellence, the desire to do what is right, the desire to be focused, to persevere despite the odds, and to be able to, at the end of the day, you may be able to smash the glass ceiling, but to press on and also to depend on God to help you through. Thank you.
Right, Prof. Yosin?
Yes, I'll say I learned quite a lifelong lesson from Prof. Hesse, which is helping me go on as a leader. We were working together in Kolebu, as I indicated. She had good plans for me in the public health unit and also supporting the hospital. Then one day I told her I want to join the medical school. Initially, she wasn't happy, but as a leader, she supported me all the way and said, okay, Alfred, let's then conduct interviews, make you a senior specialist before you transition to medical school, so that you'll be seen as such in the ministry anytime you are working there. And I saw it very progressive. You might not agree with the decisions of all the people you are working with, but looking into the future and knowing the path they want to pursue, I think as leaders, we should be able to look at this, support them in any way possible. Here I am, a former dean and a provost, because of those little support. There was no antagonism, but support throughout my chosen path. And also for Prof, as we learning, you don't really as a leader have to limit your skills and capacities. You need to build a lot of skill and mentor as many people, both within your direct area of practice and others. And that will garner a lot of benefit for the young ones looking up to us going into the future.
Thank you so much, Prof. Prof. Yeboah will take your what you are implementing and doing based on their leadership learnings. But after her and the next speaker, we're going to take a round of questions. We've made good time. And so because real leadership is conversations, we don't want you to come to a symposium where you didn't have an opportunity to ask a pressing question. If you are joining us online, you could drop the question in the chat box and it will be conveyed to me. If you are in the room, just ready yourself with the question and we would call upon you, but we'll work within a very limited time. Prof.
Yes, I think for Professor Ofori-Adjei, for us at Noguchi who work with him and know him, one thing that for me it has affected my leadership skills is the joy of building others up. And also knowing that mentorship is not just a one-day affair, but it's really, really a work. I think that he did it and he excelled in it at the Institute. Professor Ofori-Adjei, as the director of Noguchi, we saw, in fact, previously, a lot of people left Noguchi, the young people that we came because you want to go to school and they will not give you study leave. But Professor Ofori-Adjei came and realized, no, this is an academic institute. So many of us were given study leaves and we were able to go to school. And even the joy of following you. He wasn't my supervisor, but he wanted to see what we're doing. We also saw young research fellows that Professor Ofori-Adjei himself would go for funding or write grants with them. That is not just one day, but making sure that people are developed to take the mantle. I think when he's away, I think that was very cute and he has to be applauded for.
Thanks for sharing, Prof. Dorothy. And I can say that at least for what you say, I can testify for you that it is true that you're doing a lot of support in mentorship and development, because I've been working closely with Professor Anita Ganser, and I know that she talks about the support that you give her. But recently, you launched the Noguchi mentorship program, and it's doing fantastic work, and I believe that that is the way to go. So thanks, Prof, for being that inspiration. Let's have Dr. Dovlo.
Yeah. Thank you for using doctor this time and not prof. I was getting worried.
G-Tech is not in the room.
It's not okay. I think it's a wonderful opportunity for me. I'll speak to both. Just to mention, we've worked through many years of different things, but for Professor Hesse, I think the most recent thing that we've worked together on was on the National Surgical Obstetrics Action Plan. And seeing her putting so much effort attending all the different meetings, providing all the detailed readings and things that happen, has been an inspiration to me. And similarly with the one I would like to mention concerning Professor David Ofori-Adjei is when we started these leadership symposia as a learning opportunity. And he wasn't in the public health faculty, but he has been one of the backbones in developing the concept that the histories of people can be good learning opportunities to take us forward. And perhaps the final lesson that I've had is never to retire, keep going.
Thank you so much. Let's hear it for them. And in the room, are there any pressing questions whilst I look online? Any questions from those in the room? Do we have any online as well? All right, I see a hand back there. Let's give him the microphone.
Thank you very much. My name is Desmond Niakwe-Alute. I'm an orthopedic and trauma surgery resident with the Ghana College of Physicians and Surgeons. I remember my first contact with Prof. Hesse was on a Zoom lecture at the height of COVID in 2019-2020. I must say that though it was a short interaction, I remember her lecture so much on interception, and I'll never forget it. I'm so proud to have that moment. I also remember Prof. Adjei from internal medicine, 4th floor. I so much remember his session with us on clinical history taking. I'll never forget it. I must say that though these are very short points of contact with these great leaders, I must say that they made so much impact with us and I mean most of our colleagues in my year group. I want to ask that what is the definition for an impact-driven success? And then does your location matter? Or does your location really, is it important when it comes to making impact in leadership? Thank you.
Do you work for a journal? Yeah. All right, impact-driven success. What would you say that is? And does location matter? He wants to broaden the discussion on leadership. Who will take that? All right.
Thank you for the words, but the words just remind me of the generation in which we are. Impact-driven success. So I'll take it from the back. I don't think your location matters, because as has been said, for Prof. Ofori-Adjei, he has a lot of mentees in different areas of his life. Over here, we focus mainly on the rational medicine's use. What didn't come up was he actually also helped to develop an essential medicine list for herbal medicines in the public hospitals. So you can see the extent. But he's also been involved in other things, journals, medical journal work, and many, many other things. Your location does not matter. I think the important thing is to have a good mentor-mentee relationship. And as I said, we've all learned from that. I have mentees who are in ICT and all that. They don't do medicine. But you can, once you have the skills and competencies, you can mentor in whatever area you find yourself. I'll leave the big one, the impact one for my provost to answer. Thank you very much.
Provost, they say you have the vocabulary.
Yes. So generally, looking at impact means the net long-term effect of what you are doing now. So it's quite similar to mentoring people and guiding them on the path that will improve their skill, and then it turns from one generation to the other. So looking into the future, it's what you do today, what effect will it have in the long run? That is impact. So
it is basically what we do in mentoring the younger ones and imbibing in them the qualities that will make them successful in whatever field they choose to work in. They will make impact eventually. Thank you.
Yes, so if you remember when I was making my submission about Professor Ofori-Adjei, I said that one of the things that he believed in making sure that knowledge is not created in a vacuum, meaning that you develop and the knowledge and learning in the real world. It means that you need to have interaction with people. You don't sit idle. So if you're in the medical profession, medical research, you don't sit at Legon Ivory Tower and develop your research questions. You need to come down to the community. You need to come down to the policy makers, and they have the problems, and they will use the solution. That is impactful. I hope I'm clear. Thank you.
If I may, just to say a few things about impact in relation to the impact that these two professors have made. I think there are a couple of things that we can say are desirable in impact. One is behavior change, that people do things differently. Secondly, as a complement to that, that what people do differently changes the lives of other people or produces an impact, either better health or something like that. And sometimes when you get into a situation like this, when it looks like we see all sorts of difficulties, but when you look back 30 years ago, 20 years ago, as this lady and gentleman were producing these SOPs in treatment, were providing the leadership across a whole range of areas. I would say, when we look at the college, for example, and the number of specialists or consultants that we have now, compared to when I worked in Western region, when there were 3 ear, nose, and throat specialists in the entire country. And so for me, sometimes it's difficult to see these things, but I see a huge impact from the effort of Professor Hesse and Professor Ofori-Adjei, and indeed a whole host of people who have invested a lot in the future of this country.
Very well, thank you so much. I have room for one more question. Is that Professor Nefi? That's him? Okay. We have greatness in the room as well. Yeah.
Hello. Mine is a question, but let me start with a comment. First of all, I would like to salute the college for instituting this leadership symposium. And of
Since
course,
we agree, let's have a round of applause for the faculty of the college, rector, vice president, and all of them for doing this honors.
And of course, your selection is also very perfect. 2 illustrious health professionals, 1 female and 1 male. 1 with still with a lot of hair and 1 with virtually no hair. I have learned a lot this morning about leadership, something I didn't know. And I've learned that to be a good leader, one of the things you need to do is to marry well. Preferably marry your classmate or your schoolmate.
Who is from Commonwealth?
Yes. And if all fails, marry someone you love. I am particularly excited about female leadership because from my little experience, I have learned that if you want something to be done and done well, give it to a woman.
Let's hear it for the women. And that is so true.
So my question from to the panelists, what will it take for us to encourage and have more female health leaders? Thank you.
What will it take? I will take 2 volunteers to answer that question. I believe that there There's one more. That would be, oh, now the questions are coming when I wanted to. All right, let me see the hands and let me decide whether on the balance of time, how many I can take. So I'm taking one from each side. I can take two more. So one from here and then one from here. So two persons would respond and then we can close. We want to get to the most important part of this evening, which is the presentation of the honors. So please pardon us.
Thank you very much for that question. So to answer that, I'll just give a little background. So especially in most parts of the developed world, you know, there are lots more females, you know, in the health professions. I mean, even if you take out nursing, let's say medicine, in the health professions. Some time ago, in I think around 2019, 2020, KNUST level 100 admissions were 52% female and 48% male. And once at UGMS, we were able to achieve 51% male and 49% female. So lots more women are coming into health. But as you rightly said, women in healthcare leadership is very poor. And I think that to change that, we will need two major things: a change in culture and a change in strategy.
Which is easier?
Which is, the easier one might have to be a change in strategy, because culture can be very deep-seated and it takes time for the behavioral change. One of the challenges women in leadership face, we have talked about today, is smashing the glass ceiling. Professor Hesse did that. She became the first pediatric surgeon. That's easier. But sometimes there's also called the glass cliff. When the conditions are poor, then they put a woman in charge. And within a year or a year and a half,
they fall off the cliff.
Fall off the cliff. And then we turn around and we say that women are poor leaders. So I would think that we need to change our strategy, and then we need to work on changing our culture, because now there are so many women in the healthcare space that we need to build up their capacity to take the role as leaders.
All right, I'll go to Prof. Yeboah, because really this question chose those who would answer. They are women, and so they can answer this best. What would it take?
I think what we are doing today is very crucial in what it would take. There are so many young ladies here, and they've heard the story of a successful woman, a trailblazer. She just didn't get to the medical profession. She worked to achieve the success. So I think telling the successful stories of women and honoring them is one way to entice other women to know that if Professor Hesse has done it, I could do it. The other thing that we need to do is not just getting the women into the leadership position, but also acknowledge our socio-cultural demands and putting in systems, help systems that will help women, that will, in terms of motivate women and also mentor women. We have medical school. We don't have even a place for nursery. Women have to also give birth. Where would they keep their children? So I think it is not just going just to say that we want to increase the number of intake, but we need to also put in systems that will support women in terms of their leadership. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Let's fill the question from that side, and I read a comment from online. Rita Patricia says, this is indeed good learning opportunity. Grateful to Professors Hesse and Ofori-Adjei. Martha Ganser Lutherot, the eminent pharmacist, says, congratulations to Prof. David Ofori-Adjei and Professor Hesse. We have been blessed to have you. Kweku Ansapoku of ONG Kolebu Teaching Hospital says, congratulations, Professor Hesse and Ofori-Adjei. You are such an inspiration. Let's have your name and your quick question.
thank you very much. My name is Kwabna Amwako, a resident with the Faculty of Community Health, West Africa College. Congratulations to both Professor Hesse and Ofori-Adjei on this honor. I believe that there's such an esteemed panel gathered there, so I have to ask this question. I believe they all have mentees. What are some important qualities they look for in selecting mentees? And then a quick one on how we can navigate, especially in this era of Gen Z, all these things, how we can navigate generational differences between mentors and mentees. If they could speak to that as well. Thank you.
Anytime someone asks a question, you can place the generation there. Navigate new paths. So this question, I would like for Professor Nielsen and Dr. Lebro to deal with that. Whilst Dr. Watson's question, Dr. Slati, sorry, Professor Lati and Professor Yeboah deal with that. So let's see.
So I'll take his mentor-mentee relation, very important. It's always important to have an open conversation and to know the responsibilities of the mentor and the responsibilities of the mentee. And then you agree on how best to move the relationship forward. My senior colleague, Emeritus Professor Brichum, will always tell you that the chicken that eats the loftiest part of the locust is the one that is always closer to the mother hen. So as young trainees, we need to make a conscious effort to get closer to our mentors. Show the zeal and willingness to be able to work, do the legwork. And once that trait is identified in you, your mentors will be more willing to assign you responsibilities and also support you. And we would like you to be patient and also have a sense of a little sacrifice. Some of the things you do may not immediately bring some rewards, but if you are patient and you sacrifice a little, in the long term, it may give you a lot of leverage to move on. So it is always individual, personal, and you need to work at it. There are general principles, but the individual ones are more important.
Dr. Dovlo, please. I think it's important to say that sometimes in certain positions, you don't actually select who to mentor. It comes to you. People come to you, one, and secondly, in your workplace, you identify people and you may have to make the effort to approach them and get to know them and try to smoothen the pathway for them. I have experienced mentorship myself, and I think we continue to do that. The second thing that I would like to mention, which used to be a problem, and I hope we've dissolved that in our country, is the relationship between senior professionals and young ones, and trying to build that relationship of trust, understanding that they can make mistakes, and being able to bear that and allowing them to flourish. I think that is sometimes the difficulty that we have, being able to go down to the young people and feel the same with them. I'm quite far from the Gen Z, but that's what I think we should do.
She says that sometimes you feel you do not belong, perhaps because there are so many males at the table. How do you navigate that?
Yes, thank you very much. I think the first thing as a woman is that be yourself. Don't try to make someone happy. Be yourself and be happy that you were created a woman.
I thought the women would applaud.
Someone shouted yes. Please be yourself. You are not doing anything to make someone happy. One of the things that I have done is be myself. And then the other thing is that I need to apportion my time. I'm a researcher, I'm a lecturer, but I am also a mother, and I'm a wife, and I'm a child of God. Each of them is very important in my life. And so I apportion. If you take my diary, I'm sure if the University of Ghana see my diary, they will not be able to give me a diary again. You will see, call the fish seller, buy tomatoes. My life is, I try to make sure that I divide my life among all these, and I document them, and I make sure that I do them. I also make sure that I make time, because I have to enjoy myself, for recreation. Even though I'm a scientist, I have to know when I have to break. And of course, you're a woman, you also have to take care of your body. I also want to take time to do all these things. So for me, be yourself, apportion your time, and do what you can do in the best as God enables you. That's it. Thank you very much.
Very well. Let's appreciate it. He says you should live for an audience of one. And if you may, let that audience be your maker. The rest are just details. And make time for mascara. Prof.
Thank you very much. So, the feeling that you are an imposter, if you have a dream, if you have a vision, then you should have that dogged determination. The challenge with most of us is that we look at it, other people try to, pull us down, and then we also just agree, It's hard work. I think that has come up here many, many times, especially if you want to break the glass ceiling. So you should be prepared to go the extra mile, to be able to achieve that. Of course, as my colleague here said, you must have a balanced life. I remember I went to the ministries in those many, many days ago. You should know my generation. And there were all these, every office you see computers covered with, the cloth and all that. Then I came back to Kolebu and I said to myself, when will they share computers get to Kolebu and I'll have one in my office? I thought about it and I said, this one, I can't see it happening in the next 10 years. So I went out and saved money and bought a computer. And I had to get somebody to teach me how to use a computer. Because just looking at it, you realize that if I had to wait for Ministry of Health to supply computers to Kolebu, in the next 15 years, I still will not be computer literate, So you have to, have that vision and have a dogged determination to get there. There will be trials. I think that's the difficulty some of us have. You fall down, you dust yourself, you get up. Sometimes you're even bullied by your own colleagues. Oh, you are too something. What are you trying to achieve? You think you are the only one who is, and all that. But you just, get on with it with a dogged determination. And then one day, before you are aware, you, as Professor has been on it, you are the pioneer. But I think that's the most important thing. Get on with it. And if you are prayerful, be prayerful. And then give yourself space. It's not everything that you can achieve. So even when you fail or you fall down, dust yourself, get up, and just try and do the best you can. Thank you very much.
Thank you ever so much. The challenge of a generation or people who want to stand out, and yet the paradox is that they want to blend in. It doesn't happen. You either go big or you go home. My summary of the conversations we've had around these two leading professionals is that the most effective medicine is often leadership that is rightly administered. So to Professors Hesse and Professor Ofori-Adjei, thank you for being a leading light. So, thank you, panel, for engaging us.
Thank you, Dr. Will, for that insightful panel discussion. Please let's give it up for them one more time. Yes. It is now time for us to translate our admiration into a formal recognition, and it's time to give the awards. These awards to be presented is an inscription of legacy into the annals of Ghana's medical history. And to join us do the presentation, I would like to invite Professor Pius T.K. Agbenoku, Vice President, Surgeons, GCPS. Please let's give it up for him as he joins us on stage. We would also like to respectfully invite Dr. Justina Ansa, who's the Vice President, Physicians here at GCPS as well. We'd also like to invite Prof. Lawson, who is the Vice Rector of GCPS. Please let's welcome Prof. Lawson. But we would like to acknowledge Professor Samuel Deborah, who is the President of GCPS. Thank you for coming, sir. We'll now hand over to Professor Pius T.K. Agbenoku to invite our honorees. Over to you, Prof.
Hello. I think we are very tired, aren't we? If you want to stand a little and stretch yourself, you are free to do that. Otherwise, I don't think we are doing ourselves any good. We've been here for 2 hours now, so have a short break. Yes, you agree with me? Yes?
Okay, we'll have a short breather. So if we can please rise up and stretch. I mean, whichever way you'd like to ease that stress. Please don't leave, oh, we beg you. Please don't go. It's not time to leave yet. Please let's stretch. Would you like us to do some nursery rhymes? My head, my shoulder, my knees, my toes. Since we are among physicians and surgeons, my head, my shoulder, my knees, my toes. Yes, we'll have to read the citation. Yeah. Shall we please resume to our seats? Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Over to you, Prof.
Thank you very much. Hello. Now, you don't want to finish that, yes? Hello. Our chairman of the Council of Ghana College of Physicians and Surgeons, and all protocols duly observed. We continue in the existing protocol as Dr. Dovro did for us last time. At the beginning, he set the protocol, and then we all followed. I think today we continue the protocol. Can we now invite our awardees to come up stage? Professor Afua Hesse, my sister, and Professor David Ofori-Adjei. Can we invite you to come up stage? Or should we do it down? Hello? We can do it down there, yes? Let me down there. Yes. Oh, Prof wants to come. Okay. Please, let's do it for her. Let's honor her for a clap.
Please let's keep clapping. As Professor Ofori-Adjei joins us as well. Over to you, Prof.
Thank you very much. The title is, or the heading, Ghana College of Physicians and Surgeons Leadership Symposium, the year 2025. This will be presented to Madam, Sister, Osofo's mommy, Osofo's wife, everything. Professor Afua Hesse. Please sit down. You have to sit down. No. Okay. This plaque of honor is presented to Professor Afua Hesse, GCPS Outstanding National and Global Health Leadership Award. In recognition of your pioneering role as Ghana's first female pediatric surgeon, your exceptional clinical expertise, mentorship of future healthcare leaders, and your unwavering commitment to advancing gender equity in medicine, we present to you this plaque. There's a long citation there, but this is what's written in this one. So,
yes, for the photo. Yeah. Well deserved, Professor Afua Hesse. Beautiful. A life well lived. Leadership exemplified. Ladies and gentlemen, we can do it better. This is beautiful and indeed exemplary. Inspiring indeed. Our next presentation will be done to Professor David Ofori-Adjei.
Thank you. This is a plaque of honor presented to Professor David Ofori-Adjei, Ghana College of Physicians and Surgeons Outstanding National and Global Health Leadership Award. In recognition of your transformational leadership as former rector of the Ghana College of Physicians and Surgeons, your distinguished contributions to clinical pharmacology, your advocacy for rational drug use, and your mentorship of generations of healthcare professionals, the Ghana College of Physicians and Surgeons presents to you this plaque in addition to the citation, a long citation. So
Would like to hear from our honorees, and so we'll begin with Professor Afua Hesse. Prof, please, you can sit down.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Before Professor Hesse comes to speak to us, I have something to say. I want to announce to the whole gathering that what we call WACS, West African College of Surgeons, had not been stated in when she was introduced. Professor is currently the second vice president, meaning that very soon she will be the president of that institution. I want to acknowledge that, please. Thank you so much. Now you can speak.
Thank you. Vice President of the Surgical Division of the Ghana College. Those of you who have eyes will have noticed that I've been blushing throughout the whole thing. I'm a pretty timid person. It's true. You know, when I was in Wesley Girls, I'd just come back from France, and they used to tease me about eating frog's legs. My 2 classmates are here. I'm sure they will remember. I used to cry and cry and cry. I said, I've never eaten frog's legs. I was so timid, I couldn't say boo. But throughout this whole journey, I've had to learn, and ladies, you have to learn. You have a voice. Use it. It may not make you popular all the time, especially, you know, where we are the minorities. But if you have a voice, use it. And believe that God will help you to move on further. So thank you very much, Ghana College. This was unexpected, but I'm very grateful. And as was said, I didn't set out to do this and that and that. I set out to be the best at whatever I did. So that's what you all need to learn. Whatever you are doing, just be the best. The rest will follow. If you go chasing things, they will either run away from you or hit you on the head. So just do the best. So you are known for being the best. That is a good enough testimony to get you to many places that you may not have dreamt of before. Thank you all very much for coming to support us. Thank you.
I have to follow her example, so I am sitting. And I also have to add that I'm a very shy individual.
The platform.
So I have to do this, and I have to thank you all. This award that have been given me is not for myself alone, but for all the people in the room who have, in one way or the other, helped me come to this point. Actually, it will be interesting to let you know that a few specific individuals I have to tell you about. And some of them may take a long story, but I'll keep it short. There's one individual that has been with me right from the beginning, through it all. And he has a prescription for me. The medicine is, the name of the medicine is Talk With Me. You haven't heard of it. It's been around for a very long time. And the dosage is very simple. 1 in the morning, 1 in the evening, and 1 whenever necessary. So I talk with him, and he does the rest for me. The next person who has been through this journey with me, actually since 1969, is my wife, Eugenia. She has this cheer team. They call themselves A squared, Y squared. A squared is Akusia and Ikea. Y squared is Yao Adjei and Yao Nilanti. And they have a very simple motto. It says, you can do it. So anytime I'm scratching my head about something, they laugh at me and they say, it's all right. But there are certain individuals whom I have to also recognize. I think one of them is in the room. He's changed his title recently, and he's called Zipito, Professor Ladiwosono. He was the first person to give me the opportunity to do research. But I'm not so sure whether we have still resolved the question of whether the lesion he was interested in is called appendix mass or appendicular mass. If it has been resolved, I'll be very happy to know. But he has been with me since my medical school days. And I thank him very much for that. Then there's another gentleman you should know of. I was his houseman. He's called Jomuedo. He found me washing my hands in the dialysis unit one day, and he said, David, if you want to do medicine, I'm here for you. And that's what has happened. Up till now, we still talk, we get people. But remember, I started off as his houseman. The other gentleman you saw in the documentary, Professor Adjei, if I have to tell you about Professor Adjei, you will laugh, you will live here. There's no fufu joint in Accra that he didn't take us to at lunchtime when we were medical students. But he was the same in, yes, and we also did nightclubs. This, because we are talking about mentorship and things, I think it's important that it is not only the textbook stuff that makes a mentor. From circle, group sport, everywhere where fufu is served, we went, lunchtime. So other people have contributed to my sitting in front of you this evening. So apart from Dipito, apart from the Professor Adjei, there's one gentleman we are burying this weekend. And if I don't mention his name, I'll be at fault. The name is Moses Adibo. One morning I went to work and there was a knock on my door. And there was this gentleman, I never knew him. He came and he said, I've come to take you to a meeting. And I said, what meeting? He mentioned the meeting and I said, oh, that meeting. I have 2 invitations already. He said, by me, I'm here to take you to the meeting. So we got to the meeting, he said, sit on my right-hand side. I sat on his right-hand side. I don't know whether it was indicative of what was to come, but something came. At the end of the meeting, I've been put in charge of developing the National Essential Medicines List for the country. So there are people who help and push us to where we are. The last one is a very interesting young man. He was actually my classmate, Dr. Samajay. He's also gone. May he rest in peace. But he created the impression everywhere he went that my name was mentioned, that I am his junior brother. And the explanation he gave was that where we come from, Ofori means junior. So if he is Samajay and I'm David Ofori-Adjei, then it means he's my senior, I'm the junior brother. Interestingly, this was believed in Geneva and New York. So I will walk into an office and say, oh, your senior brother just left. And I'm totally confused because I'm the oldest in my family. But these are some of the ways that in this long journey, you get people to appear and push you along and inspire you. So whatever I have done, it is because of many of you in this room. And in that regard, I received this award on your behalf. And I do recognize the contributions that you have made. The last group of people who have put an international spin on all this is the group we founded in 1990 called the International Network for the Rational Use of Drugs. And that took me places. And so I'm very grateful, and I accept this honor done me on their behalf. Thank you very much.
Well. I am shy, but they say Sankofa, and he's just reminded me. If I don't say it, I don't know how I'll go home. But I tell all young people, male, female, make sure you marry right. Because whoever you marry is the one that will journey with you and will support you. If you are female, it is crucial that you marry right. And so the love of my life,
now that is a real
Reverend
blushing.
Professor Afua Hesse, thank you so much. The other people in the video I have thanked already, and they have been wonderful. Then I also just want to say
And I've seen William and Doris. William was my first trainee in Ghana. I've been responsible for training quite a number across the West African region. But, you know, when you have people who are on the same level with you, where it comes to excellence, integrity, and above all, your walk with God, it makes such a difference. And people will tell you, pediatric surgery unit is different. And the children will tell you, the mothers will tell you. And it's because of wonderful people like William, where is Hope, Glovadi, Victor Echuri. They were the early ones before the ladies started coming. And we have trained 2 ladies, pediatric surgeons in Ghana so far. There are about 4 more in the pipeline. So whatever you do, people are watching you. And it is what experience you give them that they will take forward. Accra College of Surgeons, and I see Godfred, Dr. Godfred Jima, and Eva Ver, alumni. You know, what gives us most joy is the testimonies we hear of our students. And as I said, it is about having the boldness and the courage to go the extra mile for both your colleagues and your patients. And that is what will make people remember you. And every day they go to bed, they will say a prayer for you. And it is the prayer and the blessings that will follow you. So thank you.
Let's hear it for them, ladies and gentlemen. They say when our elders sit and talk, the future listens. Thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Please let's celebrate them with a round of applause. Some music as well. And some fireworks. 2 inspiring, transformational, remarkable, phenomenal leaders.
Ohima, what an evening this has been.
It has been an amazing evening.
We came seeking leadership lessons and we go home carrying legacies. Right. Well, it's said that everything that has a beginning would certainly have an end. And so we would like to invite our chairperson with closing remarks. But before we do, we also recognize that the nation and the medical fraternity is also at a point where we are mourning a loss. And we are given to understand that the classmates of our dear brother, Honorable Dr. Omane Boama, will be holding a vigil. But out of reverence for the departed, we can't close this meeting without observing a moment of silence. So may I respectfully ask us to stand as we observe a minute of silence whilst we invite our chairman to join us to deliver his closing remarks. A minute of silence, please. May the souls of the dearly departed continue to rest in perfect peace until the glorious day of the resurrection. Amen.
Prof.
Please resume your seats.
Good evening once again. It's very difficult to say so many things at this stage, and also it's the most difficult thing to be a chairman for this occasion. Throughout the journey, I have learned so many things I was a student learning. And you all agree with me that leadership has been well chosen, topic has been well chosen, and we are grateful to honor two eminent professors and teachers. But I don't want to take the idea away that they are only a pediatric surgeon and a pharmacologist. They have crossed all the boundaries. They are academicians, they are teachers, they are pace setters, they are innovators, researchers, diligent in the way of doing things, and someone mentioned hard work, strong, and I can go on and go on and go on. There is nothing we can do. If I take only strong leadership, I can dissect it so much from what has been said about them. But let me also say one thing. Many people didn't say a lot of things outside the box. As for Professor Ofori-Adjei, I remember him very well because he's a left-handed person, so am I. And I can say so many things about his handedness, his innovation, and the way he is always prepared to advise people. That has come out throughout in the profile. My dear sister, Professor Afua Hesse, I just want to remember her again in Nigeria, in Ibadan. Many people have sent me information from Nigeria, Professor Situ, Professor Ekele, and they have congratulated you. That is the hallmark of people who do great things. I will not go on forever and ever. As a woman, there are so many things that can be done. I am not a woman, but I know a lot of things about them. But the most important thing I want to leave with you is that you didn't feature a lot of things about the wives or the husbands, because I understand behind every successful man there is a lady. And of course, Mrs. Ofori-Adjei has to do so many things, supported by the children. And we can go on and on and on and say all sort of things about them. The second one is in front of every successful lady. Well, as you've all agreed, is a disturbing man. Don't do this, move like this, go this way. And I congratulate the Afua Hesse for all that you've been doing for her. Ladies and gentlemen, with all our senior colleagues, I thank you all. With all our junior colleagues, you're most welcome, and you've taken something along to your various houses. More importantly, let us not look at a woman or a man. These two that we have honored have crossed the barriers. And any advice, any innovative research work, see them. Thank you so much. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Professor Kwabena. Now we've come to the close of the program. Quite sad because we've experienced so much inspiration and so much joy to see our transformative leaders, exceptional leaders, being honored tonight. But what we've just experienced transcends history. It is actually leadership manual that is in a living form. And ladies and gentlemen, the committee that puts this together deserves a resounding round of applause for curating such a monumental moment for all of us to share and to learn. And to say thank you on their behalf, please help me welcome Dr. Grace Bachman to give the vote of thanks. Dr. Grace Bachman, if you're here.
The rest of the organizing team can join.
Thank you very much. Please let's give the committee another round of applause. The chair of the council of the college, Ghana College of Physicians and Surgeons, director, the president, all protocol duly observed. Just 3 months ago, we, the public health residents of Cohort 19, were given the challenging task of organizing this year's leadership symposium. We knew it was an opportunity to learn and to grow, a project that will shape our own leadership journeys. What began as a daunting undertaking, we have, with a spirit of grace and teamwork, brought to life very, very beautifully today. At this point, I want the whole class, Cohort 19 members, can we see outstanding? Cohort 19, Ghana College of Physicians and Surgeons. Please let's give them a resounding round of applause. Thank you all so much for your amazing work. On behalf of all of us, I want to express our deepest gratitude for the immense privilege of organizing this event. It has been a truly unique and transformative experience for all of us. We have not only been able to celebrate the remarkable legacies of Professor David Ofori-Adjei and Professor Afua Hesse, but we have also learned invaluable leadership principles that will guide us as we step into our roles as healthcare professionals. We are deeply grateful to the leadership and faculty of the Ghana College of Physicians and Surgeons. Rector, Professor Adanu, thank you so much. Professor Irene, Dr. Nyako, Dr. Abdullahi of the Faculty of Public Health, your unwavering guidance, mentorship, and the trust you placed in us. We are reminded by John Maxwell, who says that leadership is developed, not discovered. And the process of planning the symposium has been a powerful testament to the truth. To our incredible honorees, Professor David Ofori-Adjei and Professor Afua Hesse, thank you so much for your monumental contributions to Ghana's healthcare system. Your careers are a guiding light and your leadership inspires the next generation. A heartfelt thank you to everyone who played a role today. The Deputy Minister, our guest speaker, our chairperson, the panel members, and our wonderful MCs. To our general sponsors, AGB, Ghana Medicals, Ghana Health Service, UNFPA, University of Ghana Medical Center Limited, Saxton, Sonotech Medical Center, Blochem Industries, UGMS Alumni Association, RX Health Info Systems, Crown Healthcare, and JPEGO. Your belief in our vision made this event possible, and we are profoundly thankful. To our media partners, please let's give them a round of applause. To our media partners, GTV, GH1 TV, Star FM, Joy Prime TV, Pan-African TV, and MX24, we appreciate your role in amplifying our message. Finally, to every participant here today, colleagues and guests who took time out of your busy schedules to be here, your presence has been the true heartbeat of this gathering. We sincerely hope that the lessons you've learned today inspire you to lead with integrity, passion, and a commitment to positive change in healthcare. On behalf of the planning committee, thank you. May we continue to build a healthcare system that truly serves our nation. Medase, thank you.
Thank you very much, organizing class and the team. We'll also, before we take the closing prayer, I'd like to appreciate the presence of Professor John Japong, the former Vice Chancellor of UHAS. Prof, thank you so much for joining us. I see Professor Kwame Ayi also in there, and Professor Emilia Udofia from
West African College of Physicians. Thank you so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, after this, there would be a cocktail reception. And remember, even leaders need lemonade. To close us in prayer, I'd like to invite Dr. Sylvia Opoku. Let's welcome her. The networking at the cocktail is also CPD accredited.
Please let's pray. Father Lord, we thank you so much for a successful program. Please take us to our various homes safely. Amen.
Wow, wow, wow.
This is the most comprehensive prayer ever. I don't think God needs so much time to answer this one. But it has been an amazing program, and just as Socrates said, an unexamined life is not worth living. And today, as we return to our various destinations, I will implore us to take an introspection on what we're doing right and what we can even do better. Let's take a position to lead with integrity and serve with vision. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for being here tonight.
This has been Ohima and Dr. Will.
Let me mention my own name. Thank you. I'm Ohima Adjei by the grace of God. I'm a journalist by passion, a public health, rights, and policy advocate by choice, and a public health officer by profession.
Ladies and gentlemen, simply call me Dr. Will. And with Dr. Will on the bill, I'll put your health on a hill without a chill.
Yes.
And yet with no pill till you no longer get ill. Good evening.
It's
God
been
bless
an honor,
you.
ladies and gentlemen. Let's make our way to the cocktail area. Let us make it a point to network and get to know the people around you. Good night, and God bless us all.
To our honored guests, please let's note that we can continue to take pictures at the cocktail area. So please let's kindly get to the cocktail area.